Welcome to the Face-Off Circle. I'm your host, Dark Calypso, owner of the San Jose Shark, and with me are Dugan, the owner of New Jersey Devils, TF Extreme, former owner of the Buffalo Sabres, and Saber, the general manager of the New Jersey Devils. Today we're going to be discussing the pre-draft predictions, as well as our Season 2 projections. We're going to start off with, who do you guys think is going to be the first pick in the main SHL draft? Dugan.
Well, considering that the first draft pick is held by St. Louis, I think they're going to be needing a goaltender to start off to make their backside of their team stronger.
Saber?
I'm going to disagree with Dugan. They already have a goaltender, but I think they're going to look for a strong center with their first pick, and I think they're going to go after the guy who costs the most salary in Killzone.
TF Extreme.
I agree with Saber. They seem to have good wingers. They have a good defensive pairing and a goaltender. They just need a center to fill out the first line, and then they can work from there.
A lot of things everybody's been speculating about is what they think is going to happen in the draft, especially with recent posts on the website. Do you guys agree with the post as far as the predictions for the draft so far? Dugan.
I completely disagree. The fact that they tried basing it all on salaries is just completely pointless.
Saber?
I agree with Dugan. Not much to say after that. To go by salaries, that's a joke.
Extreme?
I see parts of it, like, they seem good, but it's like 50-50, like, whether it seems like a good mock draft, and it's not.
Alright, fair enough. I'm trying to create more elaborate topics, so this way you guys have more to talk about.
Well, I'd just like to point out that TF Extreme definitely will not be drafted in the first round.
Technically, it's the fourth round, okay? If we're counting the expansion draft, the fourth round seems where I would go.
Some high expectations from TF Extreme.
Hey, fourth round isn't that bad.
I went in the 10th round the first season.
I came into the first season late, so I'm not going to even say anything.
Yeah, Saber's gonna.
I was like the second owner besides the commissioners. That's how I got my job, and, well, you see how good I did a job of.
Yep, you did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it wasn't you at all, Calypso. It was all me.
Oh yeah, totally.
You were more like dead weight, just, filler, I guess.
Oh yeah, totally.
We all know who was the wheeling dealer of Buffalo.
Hey,
yeah, you wheeled and dealed us to the grave, and TF saved us from that.
Austin, shut the fuck up.
Alright, so next thing we're going to talk about. Season 2 predictions. Which teams do you see being really strong at Season 2, Dugan?
Well, if you want me to go up and down the sheets, I'd have to say probably the top team, New Jersey Devils. I mean, there's just hands down. I mean, the team's just going to be phenomenal. Teams that I think are going to fall off are probably St. Louis, considering they only have $13 million left to spend on their draft and bidding.
Alright, Saber?
I think Phoenix, if they draft right, in the Western Conference will be the best because there are a lot of rookies in the free agency, and if they know something we don't, or no player that might have come in, they could be a really strong team heading out. And in the East, the Maple Leafs, same thing. There are a lot of rookies that came in. If they know something that some of us don't, owners-wise, maybe rookies, friends they play with in club or something, they could be a strong team heading out.
Well, don't you think that any team could accomplish that with the fact that there's tons of rookies, and if anybody knows anything that nobody else does, they could easily take any advantage. So the example you're giving is really applicable to any team in the league.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what I did that to base it on was salary of the players. Like Hopkins is assistant general manager of the Maple Leafs, and as we all know, he was first in points, I believe, or I don't know. He was one of the top players. And you look at Phoenix, and three of their guys are above average on salary cap, I believe.
Yes, but
Hopkins was first in goals, but first in points was Haxby.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, another thing with Phoenix, though, they only have $6 million left to spend.
So they're going to be picking up a lot of rookies. TF Extreme?
I see Phoenix probably trading one of their players, one of the non-management players to free up some cap room. Maybe picking up another pick in that, trade. But teams that will do good, I'd say probably Toronto. New Jersey, I see middle of the road. Boston could do good. Like that, you don't know much because it's only 6 players on the team right now, but from looking at it, I'd say my favorites for each conference would be Phoenix in the West, and in the East, probably Toronto, or if Washington drafts good, they could be a powerhouse with a lineup of Longton, Haxby, and Chislett.
So another thing I've noticed about the league so far is a lot of teams are really stacked, like automatic starts. Does anybody think that this is going to be a problem having such high value players that their keeps going into the draft?
Well, there's 2 problems with that. One problem can be a lot of these guys have egos bigger than anybody. Like Hopkins, for example, if Toronto starts off bad, loses 3 or 4 games that he plays in, the guy's not going to want to play for him anymore. The other $10 million guy, I believe, he's for Phoenix, Giver the Deep. I mean, he's not really an egotistic player, although he's the same salary, so he'd probably stick around even if they did have a rough start. But these teams getting stacked by sneaking people into their management is kind of shady, too. Originally, don't forget, owners, general managers, and AGMs weren't going to have salaries to pay. So that could have been a reason originally a lot of people were going for higher salary players.
Washington with Haxby, because we all know he was Eliash from last year, and if we remember, towards the end of the year, and I think towards playoffs, Eliash kind of had a falling out with his team, with the Sabres, getting into controversy over, I believe he got benched for a game because he wasn't responding. And he ended up, I believe, leaving the league, but King Hockey Puck let him back in because he said, I didn't mean to, or something happened where he said he was going to leave, but he came back and it caused this big, huge stir-up. And I think watching him later on in the season, with the problems he had with Buffalo, could be costly for Washington later on in the season.
Well, I can actually explain exactly what happened with that, because I was directly involved in it, being the general manager of Buffalo. What ended up happening is there was a dispute about, because he wasn't available, he wasn't online, so I replaced him for the game. And because he showed up at, I think it was 4 or 5 minutes past or something like that, but we were already getting ready to start the game, and he wanted to get in the game, and I was already ready to go. So the team was we were already setting up the game, and he wanted us to just stop and pick him up. I said no, because I just had to make an executive decision. We moved forward, and then he ended up getting really angry about it. There was a lot of flack. He ended up saying that he's quitting, not playing for us anymore, and he realized that he was getting a little hot-headed, and he apologized. I don't know if there was some other factor, but from my perspective, that's what happened. He apologized, and then everything came back, and it all ended up working out in the end. I don't think that's going to happen again with him, so that's one concern that you could probably take off the table with that player. Anyways, TF Extreme.
Okay, just quickly on the whole Eliash Buffalo thing. I think it was just the fact that when he came back, he wasn't put into free agency. He would put on Buffalo. Normally people who join the league are put in free agency, but he was directly put on Buffalo. And that's probably what got to people, and because they knew how valuable Eliash was. But back to the money, I think it all depends if teams draft right again. Washington especially, because they have a strong, probably the best first line in the league with Longton, Eliash, and Haxby. But outside that, they don't have much. But other teams that have Tampa Bay with $30 million that they could spend, they could go anywhere with it. But I don't see much of a problem with the money. If people draft right, if they pick good players, then money shouldn't be a problem. If they try to stack their team too much, the salaries limit. I think it's a good idea to have the salary to make sure there's no lopsided teams.
Well, nobody was debating whether or not the salaries were an important factor. I was just trying to figure out what you guys thought about, stacking your team early rather than trying to pick up good players in the draft.
One team that we're not even talking about really is Pittsburgh being stacked early with Snoopy and Kanji on defense.
That's true.
They do have a good, Kanji and Snoopy. They're a good combination.
And you're talking about the two biggest hitters of the league.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just noticed this, but looking at the season or the rosters before we even start, there's already errors on people's salary. If you look at Tampa Bay, I am God. He doesn't have any salary whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, why he's basically working for free.
Yeah.
It's because he's a wizard, and obviously he's God, so God doesn't understand materialistic things.
Yeah, he was the only one that didn't agree to the labor union agreement.
Ah, okay, so he doesn't get to be in the video game. Okay.
Nope. I'm sure they'll work out some sort of salary for him eventually, but right now I think it's just staying at zero due to extenuating issues. What teams do you guys think are going to not accomplish? What teams do you think are going to underperform or essentially become the punching bag of the league? Dugan.
Well, in the Western Conference, I think your punching bag quite possibly could be San Jose. Nothing against you, it's just with the way all the other teams are coming together. Your team's looking pretty weak at the moment, besides your goaltender. In the Eastern Conference, punching bag of the league, in my eyes, is probably going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning. They got nothing really special. All they really have right now is mediocre forwards. They have a washed-up owner. Those are my two.
Saber?
I want to say Philadelphia in the East because they have, I believe, a rookie owner in Briere 48. And his general manager and his assistant general manager are both at a .5 salary, being new to the league or inexperienced. And I think that's going to hinder them later in the road, and especially in the draft picking players. I don't think they'll be a very organized team, and that's going to really hurt them. And in the West, I want to say it's going to be a split between Detroit and your team, Calypso, unfortunately. But Detroit, the only player I see really doing well is Henrique, their owner, and same goes to you. I've got a feeling you're going to probably be top 20 defenseman in the league. And I don't really see anybody else really excelling on your team besides maybe your goaltender.
I don't see myself as a top 20 defenseman, but alright, thanks.
The only thing I have with your team is that if the defenseman you draft, because I know defense is a big problem in this league with, let's take Hopkins, for example, how he can just walk through teams and score goals like he's spitting out change at a slot machine in Las Vegas. He just scores goals like that. And the problem with that is we don't have defense established in the league, and it's hard to find that. Where you look at in the East with Kanji and Snoopy on Pittsburgh, their goaltender, no matter, he could be semi-decent or average, and because he's got good defense in front of him, he will excel. But teams with bad defense are going to struggle later on.
Well, you also got to look at the fact that some players, one of the things you're overlooking here is some players didn't have proper matchups going in season one. For example, I'm a decent defenseman, but my salary and my stats look like garbage because I was often paired up with people who didn't know what they were doing. You got to understand that.
Yep.
So you're only as good as your setup and the partners that you have. So a lot of defensemen, especially good defensemen in this league, might be underrated or underpaid due to the fact that they did have bad matchups. And one of the things that I'm trying to accomplish in my team is to actually build a matchup set with a couple of defensemen that can actually work together and perform a proper defense. Anyways, that's just my defense as far as you guys saying my team's going to suck. TF Extreme.
In the East, I see Philly towards the bottom, maybe Tampa Bay. I'm say they have forwards, but not much of a variety in the way of skill. Some of these teams could turn out to surprise. In the West, I'd say still San Jose would be towards the bottom. Chicago, maybe. Looking at teams right now, you can't just predict now where they're going to be because they're incomplete teams. But the teams that have the highest, the steepest climb to make it to the Cup would probably be teams like San Jose and Chicago, Minnesota too a little bit. They have good goaltending, but not much else.
Yeah, I just looked at Minnesota and I saw that 2 goaltenders as a GM. That's a little weird, and it costs them 9 salary, so it's about as good as a high-end player, so that might be a hindrance to them later on.
If they can find, good defensemen, like defensive pair, they could probably, turn out pretty good, but depends on, how they handle their situation.
So one of the big things that I'm really interested in, and I'm not sure what the rest of the league is interested in, but the commissioners becoming players is going to be an interesting aspect to the rest of the league, because now they're no longer owning teams, but they're going to be just regular players as far as everybody else is going. So what teams do you guys think they're going to end up on, and do you think commissioners are going to affect their team that they're on?
Well, I think the only real commissioner that I honestly think is going to have a major effect on whatever team he goes to is probably Pat Light playing goalie. King Hockey Puck, I don't want to see he's above mediocre, but he's not going to make a huge impact. I mean, I know he's saying he's going to have 80 to 90 points, but I honestly only see him getting 60. No other commissioners really just stand out to me. What about you, Anthony?
I think commissioners, I don't think there'll be a hindrance to their team. I don't think there'll be advantages. I think the commissioners being players instead of owners makes it more fair in a sense of where they can't control, I don't want to say they can't control anything, but they're going to have more time to be commissioners than they are having to set up games, make trades with people, listen to everybody. Now they can listen to feedback from people on the league and not have to concentrate on their own team's problems at the same time. I think it'll be better for the league that they're just playing as players because they won't have as much to handle. So it'll be a more relaxed league, and hopefully it'll be better improved, and we can get more people into the league and have a better season.
I see it as a good, a step forward, I guess, for the commissioners becoming players, because then it's more fair. Teams don't have unfair advantages, because the commissioners, they choose free agency, when you need players, and it's random assignments. They can't choose which players go on their team and then just randomly assign someone onto another team. I'm not saying that happened, but you never know. But yeah, it does give them more time to do other stuff. Even talking to King and Pat last season, they seemed more stressed than normal, because they had to deal with not only their team, but the whole league. And now with the league hitting 350, it's kind of hard to keep control of, you'd have to separate your team from the rest, take care of them, while taking care of, obviously, the rest. But Pat, I don't think is going to be as good as a goaltender this season. Because looking at his stats from last season, I haven't checked them in a while, but last I checked, he was, I think, 2.5 goals against average. And compared to some of the better goalies, he was about middle of the road.
But 2.5 goals against average in this league is a very good thing, considering most teams can put up 4 to 5 goals a game on any given night.
Yeah, but looking at like some, I'm saying
players.
He's not like elite, like how some people would look at him because of his win-loss. But I think that was just because he was on Toronto. Because Toronto had amazing, like pretty good defense, and they were pretty balanced. And they were kind of the powerhouse of the league for most of the season, and they tapered off towards the end. King Hockey Puck, I'd say, I don't think he's gonna go like expansion draft, but I'd say late first round, early second. He could put up big numbers, but he also could not. I wouldn't say he's bad, but he's about average, maybe above average. And Strudel, no offense to Strudel, but your plus minus kind of killed you with a minus 57. And that's probably why you might get drafted late or bid on, but I don't see you getting drafted earlier with the R commissioners.
We have a huge influx of new rookies coming into this next season. What rookies should everybody be looking for to shine coming in season 2?
Well, not to be biased or anything, but Saber is practically a rookie. He only really played for about the last week of last season. So, if I had to pick anybody who's pretty much new to the league to break out based on who they're going to play with, just from the roster we have at the moment, I'd probably have to say Saber. With the team that he's going to have around him to start off with, being a rookie, I'd have to say he's going to be up there, but it could change as the draft happens.
Much appreciated. I wasn't really expecting that. Kind words. I do know that I had a point in every game, but only playing 44 points, I kind of think that's below average. So we'll find out. But I was looking, and this was one of the few things I did in the off season to help my team, unfortunately, because I've been so busy. But there's a guy coming into the league that I've seen. I don't remember, but there's 2 or 3 guys coming into the league. Oh, I found him. He's a center. His gamer tag is Gaborik10 with those 2 little lines in between, or at the beginning and the end of Gaborik. He's, I think, in the top 10 for skaters. So look for him to make a big splash coming into the season.
There are 2 guys that if they end up on the same team, I think they'll do, like, amazing. It's Voodoo VN and Nades VN. I played a few scouting games with them, and when they're together, they can put up a combined, like, 3 or 4 goals each. Like, not each, total. But looking at the list right now, I see YZI God, ZY, and he looks familiar to Pittsburgh's GM, I think. Let me check. So I have a feeling that's where he's gonna go, but there haven't been many standouts in the far of rookies, but there haven't been really any, like, terrible rookies. One guy that I'm not really fond of, though, is on Cody. He's a right wing. He seems very, very confident, I'll say that much. I don't know how he's going to adapt to not being the first guy to, first line, which I don't think he would be fit for. Maybe later in the season as he works at it, but that's all I've got.
All right. Another thing I think people want to really discuss is the fact that, all right, we have a lot of rookies coming in. This has already been established, and we have a lot of people who have been still playing in the league. Some of these rookies could be better or worse than people who are in the league, obviously. So, what impact do you think we're going to have in the league with all these new rookies as far as balancing everything out? Do you think that rookies are going to kind of mess with the balance and kind of give teams some unfair edges, or do you think that rookies are just going to be rookies and just generally not end up helping teams that just pick solid, proved players? Dugan.
Well, I mean, there's always rookies that come into new seasons, no matter what league you're in. There's going to be the breakout stars, and there's going to be the guys who, oh my god, I lost the game. I think I'm going to go quit the league now there's going to be your guys who get banned, blacklisted. I mean, it's going to be a mixture of all different things with these new rookies. There's no way to really know what to expect.
Message to all the rookies, since we're on the topic anyways. Just play the game. If you don't get along with people, ask for a line switch. I mean, rookies, they're going to take time to figure out who works well with well, unless, like, let's say 2 rookies join in at the same time and have, like, similar, like, clan things like you'll see in Call of Duty that you know they're in a group. Like, people who play together will do well if they get put on the same team, but if you're a rookie and you're coming in and you're not sure how people play, study your team, study your line, and then adjust to the game, and you'll be just fine.
I think the rookies, they're gonna have a wake-up call. They're gonna know they aren't, like, the stars of the team. Like, say they were stars in club, that doesn't matter in this. This is a 6v6 league. Like, you aren't playing with friends. You're playing with other people that you don't know. You need to adjust to how they play. Like Saber said, it's not drop-ins, it's not club, it's an organized league. And I remember when I first joined a league like this, and I had to adjust, and, well, I didn't make it much farther than that, but just gotta learn how to play with others and not get pissed off over just the littlest mistake that anyone makes. It's a game, remember. It's not, you're not winning money to play this game and win.
Alright, seeing you guys took it upon yourselves to give a message to the rookies, one of the things I can probably say to all the rookies is, don't quit just because you lost a game. Don't quit because you're not getting along with people. Remember that there is people you can play with. You can always ask for a trade or ask to be on a different line. And one tip that I can give to everyone in the league, not even just the rookies, is if you want to play better with the people that you're on the same line with, get together and practice. Because practice makes perfect, and if you have free time, if you want to improve your stats and improve your line skill as a whole, get some practice in, build some chemistry, because that can actually improve your team more than any salary number ever will.
One more thing for the rookies is don't forget the new rule this season is, I mean, you can ask your owner for a trade, but we're not obligated to have to trade you. They got rid of that because of all this stuff.
I'll admit that was annoying season 1 when people constantly requested a trade. Like Buffalo was, for the first 5 weeks, was a cellar dweller, and then we started picking it up. And just getting those messages saying you want to trade. It's, for an owner, it's more work that the owner has to do to try and find a trade partner. And if he doesn't, then you're going into free agency, which I almost had to do a few times, but thankfully I got something in return for those people.
Well, it's a good thing this season if you want to be traded, but your owner doesn't want to trade you. I mean, you're just shit out of luck.
And don't leave the league if you can't get traded. Like, that's just quitting, and, you know, nobody likes a quitter, and once you... It's kind of like I guess a disease. Like, once you quit once, you quit again, you know, it's...
Like, Carolina Panther fans in the league, it's like you're Cam Newton. You just don't want it. You don't want that moping guy because it brings the rest of your team down and causes problems. It's just not good. This league is meant to be fun. We fun trash talk. We don't take anything personal. It's just, we're here to have fun and play hockey the way it should be played.
Yeah. Cam Newton, like, there's a difference between if you're, like, emotional or if you're just, like, saying fuck you to everyone.
Yep.
There's a line between fuck you and I'm trying to do my best.
Yeah, just don't give up and keep playing. You'll adjust to the league and you'll get better. It'll take some time.
Yeah, remember that nobody is, well, some people are, but not everyone is great their first time. So Just take the time to adjust.
And if you aren't like good at the position you wanted to play, just play different positions. That's how I was. I still want to play a forward, but I'm not good at it. I'm better. Either way, I'm a defensive forward. So I just cut out the forward and started playing defense. And I think my game has done pretty well ever since I started playing defense.
One of the things that somebody mentioned, I'm not going to mention any names, but somebody mentioned that we should do national games like USA versus Canada or any other nationality set. Now, I don't know how diverse the league is, but it would be an interesting idea to have people from different nationalities working together against each other as kind of like a little national tournament where we could take the best from each country and kind of have like a mini tournament where each country is represented. Well, with that said, I'm pretty sure the league itself is Canadian due to the website, and I'm also sure that this league is full of Americans due to Xbox Live. So this question then becomes, and this goes out to the whole league in general, and feel free to send me a message about it on the website if you're from a country that's not Canadian or United States. But I would very much like to see this kind of Canada versus USA, Canada versus USA, and any other nationalities, because this would just be like a fun little thing we could do during the off season to keep people still playing during times when we don't have organized play going on.
I think it'd be a great idea. I mean, it brings the diversity of the league together, and I mean, if you don't have like full rosters or something, or you think a nationality is cool, like let's say we get somebody from Russia, somehow somebody from Russia is playing hockey. And, they're friends with someone on Xbox Live that plays hockey with them. Granted, they might not have a mic or whatever, who knows? But that could be something fun to do in the off season. Or maybe this will bring the community of NHL, or the EA Sports community all together in hockey, and just be like, oh, well, we're running a tournament on this website, and we can put it up in the forums for EA Sports, and just be like, we're running a national tournament, it's just for fun, but if you're from these countries, or wherever, list your country, and if we can get 5 people to your team and a goaltender, we'll put it together and we'll put brackets up and we'll just do it for fun. I think it'd be cool.
I'd say it'd be pretty cool. It'd keep us, because this time in between when some teams are eliminated and when other teams are still in the playoffs to the start of the next season, there's, for this season it was about a month, maybe a month and a half or something like that between, and we really had nothing much to do until the last half month when we started scouting. It'd be something cool to do. You'd learn, I guess, a little bit about where everyone's from and see what the majority is like. It'd be interesting to see. Not much else about that. We could do your own nationality, the captain, a captain of a team picks their nationality, or if they're of multiple nationalities, pick what team they are, or something like that.
Alright, I'm gonna have to agree with Saber's original statement in that it should be around an all-star time type thing for those people who don't become all-stars. It should be our community. Screw the rest of the EA world, dude. They don't want to be a part of our league. They don't need to. We don't need to invite them in unless they want to come in. I mean, sure, it could be used as a tool to get more people into the league for next season, but ultimately up to the commissioners on if this idea would even work.
Well, don't you think that the exposure for the league would actually be a good thing? Because, I mean, you got to keep in mind, the bigger sharks in the ocean, like the VHL, I mean, they get a lot of the attention from a lot of the people who are really devoted to playing these 6v6 leagues. So, I mean, getting as much exposure as we could, maybe doing these little international tournaments, or even going so far as to film some of the games and just put them up on the website and get some people watching us. Don't you think that'd be a good thing, though?
Yeah, exposure, I get it. I mean, any ideas are really good that could expose the league. I mean, I'd love to have over 1,000 people to the point where, we have our full NHL teams, and then we can start bringing in minor league teams,
Well, I was thinking, along the lines, if we're going to get exposure for the league, another thing we could talk about is if somebody has like capture card equipment or things like that, what we could do is if, let's say a team plays a game or whatever, you know how you could view highlights of all the goals or go back and see what happened certain times of the period and stuff like that. Like, why don't we make a YouTube for the league and make highlights for the league, and we'll show everybody what's going on, you know, the fun parts of the game, bloopers, maybe stuff like that, or silly things that happen, and just kind of create a buzz.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I would love to, I've been trying to get people to send me in highlights of their games, like good shots and spectacular goals, good hits and everything, but I really haven't gotten any messages from anyone as far as sending me content goes. So that's one of the big things I'm going to be aiming for next season, because I want to build highlight reels, so this way we can actually, you know, see what's going on around the league, not just talk about it. Because we're adding more to it by the fact that we're talking about it outside of, you know, our little teams and our little communities, like, that we've built for ourselves with our teams. Like, by talking to each other, we're expressing more of an open opinion as to the whole fact of the league as itself. But with visuals, you just bring the whole game to life. And so that's one of the big things I'm going to be aiming to do this next season here. This was the face-off circle, in case you didn't catch that in the beginning, or for some reason you started in the middle of the conversation.
You stay classy, SHL.
Oh, my Weaver.
It was great talking to you guys. I love the discussion. If I'm not here for next time, I'm on a cruise in Mexico somewhere. I'll send pictures or something, man. Adios, amigos.
I guess bye, and for all you impatient fucks that skip to the middle of the video, go watch the first half. This was the best video ever, or audio, or whatever.
Okay,
I'm letting you know I'm going to be
this is the
keeping some of
best
these little
fucking
fun
outro
moments.
ever.
It was the
Bloopers.
best fucking outro ever. Alright,
Different
so
bloopers.
that was the face-off circle. We'll be back after the draft to discuss who we think is going to do better in Season 2 because of the draft and our post-draft analysis. If you want to be a guest on the show, send me a message on the website. And if you want to send me content when in the coming weeks when the actual season's going on, my email address is madeirosteric@gmail.com. It's posted on the website so you guys can find it. Send me your stuff. Send me your highlights. Send me it, and I will make things for you people. Alright? So, that's all. See you next time.